位嘉賓、各位同學、各位老師、同事嚇。
Hello everyone and speaker. Today we are so honored to have our popular Hong Kong artist Man Feng and Mo and Lok to have a presentation to our faculty, which is the very first one in this new semester. Usually we will have one public lectures per month, which is not only for our students or teachers, but we like to outreach to the public. Actually, we used to have our public lectures via Zoom, and every time there are more than hundreds audience attend. So for this round, although this is the very first round within this new semester, we do already have one seminar last week. Generally, there are some visitors to Hong Kong, and they would love to attend our public lectures. That's why in this semester, there are 2 new public lectures being added, and in total, there are 5. And we used to have one is related to the drawings about Italy cultures, and the other one is about the masterpiece of FUNG to talk about his sharings being an artist and designer to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the event. We hope that all of our event could be benefit our students and they could gain something. So again, we are so honored to have Man Feng and Mo一新to have the presentation to us. As you may know, their masterpiece actually being collected in our public museum or even presented to the public. Other than that, they are so well known in the international. And they are the truly well-known international artists. And there is one person we would like to appreciate that helped to connecting our faculty to these 2 speakers. Here is my deep thanks to Antonia. Without her help, we can't have these 2 famous artists here. And now, in the talk, we hope that we could gain something from their experience and sharings. So, let's have Antonia to have some words and to introduce the speakers of today's public lectures. Thank you, Desmond. Hello, everyone. Actually, there is a serendipity between us and the artists. Although we haven't known each other for a long time, but
加陳世樂加阿三加三呢個組合咧，我今次
This kind of artists group is really, really famous, and we do have expectations on their sharings. As long as the speakers are very popular in Hong Kong, perhaps you may have already Googled the information about them. You may know their backgrounds. Of course, they are very popular and very intelligent. Not only mentioning their contributions on art, but their contributions in the media participation. Actually, the speaker, Man and Mok, as a couple, and also artists, it's very interesting that for us to know more if they can make a living through these kind of art fields and how they cooperate between each other. As long as we may know that they are very successful in the community masterpiece, and they do put their impact everywhere and influence others a lot. So I'm very looking forward to know more about their work and how they work together in public as a couple. Actually, both of them is a very romantic partners. I do remember that Man has mentioned that I am a drop of rain while he is a freedom bird in the sky. That's why I'm a little bit curious about their collaborations, not only about their masterpiece, but also related to their living style. And I think living style actually is a very important requirement for community artwork, which requires artists to input their mind, their reinforcement of themselves. Of course, in this field, we could not ignore Lok. Lok actually is a very famous artist in community as well. Not only around the fine art field, but also he contributed much on local media and also community creator. He's a very open-minded person, so we are really looking forward to know more about them. Please welcome M plus Lok. Thank you, Desmond and Antonia. A very good piece of opening, and it's so glad to meet all of you here. So in this public lecture, the topic is In Between Self-Reinforcement Strings and Co-Creation, the Significance of Community Arts, all related to our personal masterpiece and the things outside fine art. We will focus more in talking about whether the personal position and how would it benefit the public.
係啦，講到我哋三個咧，點講
Talking about three of us, M and M plus log. As people may know about us, you could see there are 3 chairs in slide, which is about an event. There are bamboo stones, materials being used in the event. And there are many people participate, which actually there are not only adults, but all there are kids. You could see that the materials is not something very complicated. They are just simply materials. But actually, it could gather the power of community. And later on, I will share much about this masterpiece. So I would like to know more about from you too. How would you do to work into the masterpiece to gather the power of community? Later on, we will share our fine art story with every one of you. But let's talk about a little bit about the topics. You can see that there is a phrase in between the words. Let's close your eyes and imagine you are on the swing. While your body is moving, to put yourself into the vibe. From one side to another side. And you could imagine that the feeling is pretty good and funny as well. What actually, there is an imagery inside. It's talking about you as an artist. Actually, most of the time, our word is to seek for the true meaning about art, life, and living, and how to change them into personal growth. And this is all about our experience. In short, actually it's about the process of seeking the truth. During the sharing and the working experience, you can imagine that you are actually on a swing from one point to another point. There is a shifting between these 2 points. And actually, this is what I mean to in between things. So could you interpret more about your thought about in between reinforcement, strength, and co-creation, please? So as we know that both of you are working on stainless steels and bamboo's design, or maybe mention more about what we are talking about, the meaning of in between. So I'm referring to self, inter, trans, and co, which the first one actually is talking about the transformation, a connection, and then comes to collaboration. This idea actually is a very long-term experience between 2 of us. And actually it lasts around 5 years. So can I consider all what you're mentioning should be start from self-inner? from self-inner to transform and to collaboration. Actually, for these 5 words, each of them are collaborating within each other, which one of them could not be missed. In Cantonese, for the first one, self, actually referring to bamboo is a very environmental friendly materials, but it does have a very advanced meaning, which is one of the 5 gentlemen. And later on, I can share more about to you guys. And for the second, 竹 means that a very teeny footprint. For the third one, 竹, which means connect. It doesn't mean that the touches point about yourself, but also about your connections with the others. When come to the fourth one, 竹 means that infrastructure, means that how to build and connect. And comes to the last one, means blessing. And also asked for your kindness and patience, which means that we should put our 100% of ourselves into the event. Sharing the same mutual vibe, while in between there is energy. Got it. Thank you very much for your interpreting. So could I consider these 5 words to understand the philosophy of you two? So we'd like to ask this question about MOK. The very first stage you enter fine art field, you are working for the national masterpiece. So could you share more about your experience that you develop your professions in the art field? Oh yeah, sure. So let's start from my personal creation experience. My personal milestone start from creating national masterpiece, but later on, I do change my major to sculpture studies, which I put some national creation element into my art creation. And you could see that there are some national features about Chinese arts. And you could see in this masterpiece, I do polish a lot about my work, which has a meaning that I would like to clear all the constraints between the reality and the art field. But there are some up and down side on the masterpiece, which apparently you could see that I do polish a lot. That made it could do some reflectment to the environment around it, including the shadows of publics, the trees, the waters, and to make the public have the feelings that the reality is being reflected into the stone. And here comes to the polar bear, which actually is presenting into the pool water in STELLA. That's why I create this pool bear. making it like with the feeling that it is fluttering into the water. And the purpose that I create this artwork is to let the public to make reflection about global warming, greenhouse gases issue in our world. And later on, I moved this bear with my students to another glass pieces in CU. But later on, we found that the bear disappeared. Finally, we found it into the pool again, which the students may think that actually this polar bear belongs to the pool, and actually this is another kind of encouragement for the students' participation into the fine art. So when you're talking about the harmony between man and nature, you could see that it is a very in-depth philosophy. True. Harmony between man and nature is what we are always looking for. So later on, we have another bear into the public slavery garden. So you could see that the bear in the public area who is holding the melting snow here in the slide, which is presenting melting stones, melting snows is very popular among the general public, especially the kids. The area used to be empty before we place our artwork into the area. So you could see that our exhibition here is very meaningful for the public to know more about themselves and to push the harmony to the advance. So you could see that the masterpiece has added the feature of interaction between the fine art itself and the public, right? Yeah. And we could also see that Mok has changed his professions to encouraging public to have more interactions with the fine art from the national masterpiece, which focus more about personal growth. So do you want to know the reason why I stopped focusing on masterpiece of nation creations? So actually, as Antonio mentioned it, you could see that there are many public artwork is created by me and my partners, like the butterfly ones in the slide. You could see that they were sticked onto the wall into the restaurants. As long as there is a meaning there, the long lasting of life and the directions they are pointing to is the sunshine of the windows, while it is directly pointed to another butterfly outside, which is located at Thema Park. These two butterflies, you could see that they are located in Timor on the hexagon, which is very popular amongst the public. As long as you could see that there are many people would like to take pictures around them, especially people is having holidays on Sunday. But this is more talking about the collaborations of artwork between the artists and the public. So for Man and I, we're also looking for the publicity, not only the materials when making the artworks. We would like to put it as simply as it can be, while without adding our personal mind into it. As we thought that fine art belongs to the public, not only the artists, as what we are mentioning stakeholders, right? So you can look into this slide. This masterpiece actually is created after we do have a feeling after seeing the nature works with the insects while they having their life or their living. So actually all of our works is oriented our feelings and experience in life. And once actually after our experience when we visiting a farmer, so we could see that there is a kind of beauty within his work. That's why we want to present this kind of feeling to the public. In order to extend our feeling of minimal, we have created another masterpiece. And this is what we have put onto the slide. You could see that this artwork is created by wood and allowed public to touch them. Actually, the public do love this artwork. At that time period, I do remember there are lots of chairs around them, but people would prefer to have a touch on this. So this is what we are looking for and encouraging the public to do. This is what the interaction we would like to have. So you can see that this masterpiece is placed into the transportation stations and very common into the public area. You can see that it may also appear into Taiwan, Shenzhen, and also the lobbies of our MTR stations. So for this one footstep of nature is actually located into the Taibo MTR station. Why I choose this location? Because I do love the place. While at Taibo there is many areas I do loved, like Taxing Land area and the nature of the environment. They do provide that leaves, woods, which is pretty much with my art philosophy. That's why I put it into one of the elements of the masterpiece. Okay, so after listening the sharing of Mok, whose creations have been changing from national creations to abstractism, we would like to know more about Man's experience. So actually, I do start working for creation intimacy starting from 2008. The first ideas comes to my mind actually is from my son. I do remember that the very first idea comes to my mind is one of the clothes of my son, which I think that sometimes people may forget. The past memory for the kids' growth. That's why I want to put this into my art piece to recall the memory of public at the same time for my self-healing. And looking for another ribbon. So for my first piece of art, I put several materials into my masterpiece. Input several symbols like water, mountain, steels, embrace, which is presenting several personalities of ourselves.
鞋對我嚟講咧，係象徵好似腳咁，係踏出人生嘅路啦。我喺個時期
So for me, shoes there is a representation that of perseverance, and also a symbol about my relationship between me and my family. Of course, lastly, calling for reborn. So recalling my memories, I do have a chance to join a campaign in 2010. And I create this pair of shoes for the event for memorizing my grandma. And I invited the elderly in the community to participate into the event as well. But the texture actually is not only created by myself. I do get the idea from the elderly students and also the general public in the community. At last, after the masterpiece is created, it was located into a corner. What made me surprised that it was not destroyed by others, while people do willing to spend a little bit of time to sit on it, to play their mobiles, to take rest. So could we consider what you have been done is actually encouraging others to make reflections of their family relationship, right? Like for example, to gain their renaissance about their family relationship. Yeah, true. So you could see that there is a total recall. I have invited 5 elderlies to participate into this event, and their age range is pretty wide, from 50 to 60, 70, also 80. Of course, there are some students participated as well, which they study like journalism, history, or fine arts. So we do invite the elderlies for a talk which is related to their past stories. And the topics usually about shoes, which is representing how they make their first steps of their life. And we help them to tidy up their experience and present them into words. After we finish the project, we will gather their thoughts as a piece of work and share with the elderly's family. Through this event, we would like to emphasize the thought of equality and sharing.
所有見到女性都係變咗姑娘。係啦，唔係靚女咩？唔係專稱嚟嘅姑娘。
But we don't talk about hierarchies in the event. Of course, they do love me and call me 文姑娘. I do remember there is one of the elderly holding my hands and talking to me that they really appreciate our kindness, while the students next to me just doing the observation. So what we are emphasizing is all about equality and kindness. As long as the elders shares their story with us, we do make the reciprocity, like shoes, clothes. So what I gained from this event actually is about the life track. Later on, the masterpiece have moved to Chunwan. Later on, I do really happy that the message of these exhibitions, the message of it have been extending the meaning of taking care of ourselves elderlies to the others elderlies. But more about the new location, people do have more interactions with the hospice, and you could feel their happiness. when they are passing by.
啲金屬嘅拖鞋仔，包括童鞋啊，或者係不鏽鋼鞋啦，目的就係等啲細路仔二話不說，佢唔會
And you
問
could
你。
see that
你亦都阻止唔到。
they are kid shoes. We have put next to the masterpiece, right? I do remember at that period of time when kids passing by, they would like to have a try to putting their feet into the art piece. Also, they do hug me and showing me their happiness.
有啲波波上高咧，其實我冇擺到立體衫，其實係鼓勵佢哋將佢哋嘅寶貝咧擺埋上去展示，成為我呢個藝術作品嘅一部分嘅。
Some of the smart parents may notify that their kids' clothes made by steel or irons, and they would love to let their child to have a try. Of course, we do pay attention on the safety on the masterpiece, like we do remove the speak sharp position to make sure the kids' safety. Or let me mention a little bit more about this exhibition. Even though the very first purpose of this event is aiming to let the elderly to involved, but as long as the position have been changed, the audience changed as well. And this is what makes the exhibition be more interesting. So from this line, you could see that the masterpiece changed again from Chunwan to Hong Kong Airport. Of course, there are so many advantages I could have from this exhibition, like the happiness of the public. But I do make some changes of this exhibition again.
我諗佢哋好緊張準備波定好耐冇試過 ，OK？
係嗱，一如好似飛飛心咁啦，你見到
As long as you could see that I put the element of hearts, colors changes into the new exhibition. But you could also see that the kids do love to have more interaction with this masterpiece. They would love to have a try on the kids' shoes, the clothes. As all you could see that there are small aeroplanes, a teeny swing, a small boot, and a pillow. I've put so many airport elements into this creation. At the same time, I put my personal story inside, which is related to my son. Actually, the blue shoes on the pictures comes to my son. I put my memories here to show to the public. And you could see the luggage in the middle. Isn't it very cool? But actually, this is also belongs to my son, representing his experience going to school. And actually, it's not a luggage, but a school bag. There is an imagery behind talking about a little boy growing into a youngster talking about his independency, leaving his parents to study abroad. Do you know what I'm thinking about when I look at the masterpiece? I could see that you put your personal story inside. Later on, feeling excited to present them to the public. Right? Okay, so thank you very much for Man and Lok's sharings. I could see the passion you two have put into the art field. For me, actually, I doesn't have that much experience comparing with you guys, but I do contribute a lot into creation, educator, moderator, art critic. And that made me, I do have a thought that I would like to share something to you all. It is not easy being an artist, educator, docent, moderator, art critic all together. But I do love to sharing something with you, which is related to my personal identity. So you could see that into my masterpiece, red is the representing color. And the neon light actually is showing the message every night, which is emphasizing our personal feelings and thought. Make me do have a personal reflection that what if I am not working as an artist in the place? What will I be? And what should I do? So for me, artwork actually is something help us to reshape ourselves. And for this, is what always encourages us to do practice in order to have improvement. Let me share a little statement with you. And this has actually recalled my memory. You could see that it says time goes by and things are in a state of flux, while nobody knows where the changes will take us. As long as culture is built on the current trends of event, people may have no plans for futures. And people have no idea for their future as well. They didn't plan things on the very first days. What makes them have their achievement actually is experience things and enjoying the process. So for this one, actually it's a very interesting thing related to Hong Kong. If you have been practicing words since you were small, you could remember this exercise book in Hong Kong. It is very interesting that putting our common memories or experience into another location. You could never imagine how it could be when they place into another different places. And it could make you do reflecting yourself. Who are you, what you are doing, and what you will be in the future. which may push your personal growth. And I think that we should make it into our daily practice as well. When you do have the sense to improving yourself, you could put yourself into a different position. Like me, I'm working into media, education, community, especially talking about education. When you are talking about your community, I am not only working into art, but also transcription, or say pure translation. As you may know, there is a system in education which the public may not understand. But working for fine art, we are trying to put our message to a more solid things to let the public understand, which is more like transcreations and creating experience. People may have different explanation about experience. So I think for artists, it's a very important bridge and a stakeholder between things and public. It is familiar for you to have behavioral performance on the street, right? You could see that here is an event we were organizing in Wan Chai. We are representing Wang's masterpiece in Wan Chai and let the public to understand his work. Another thing about working as a bridge, not only creating arts, but about transcreation, I am putting myself and also my thought into the community, which have involved comments, dialogues, or discussion between us and also public. While there is interactions and disagreement between our thought, discussion appears. There are so many activities happening every day. We are all generators. As we are working as a moderator and art critic, we have the responsibility to fix the unhealthy situation of the unhealthy interaction of public. While I'm discussing with others, I do observe that people may not know or even didn't make reflections of what they have done. And since 2005, I've been working with different critics, media. While we all have different comments or thought to one things, I do always make reflections that thinking how to communicating with them. No matter how harsh and tough my work will be. So let's talk about how to present artwork in words.
開始喺香港裏邊大爆炸啦。呢個乜
We do have exhibition in Fortan, from the local exhibition to Hong Kong Art Basel to Art Bank.
又或者啦，喺學院裏邊，佢有啲嘅計劃係一啲 research project，佢都會邀請一啲嘅 outsider 去同佢寫一啲嘅文章。
Or say we do have exhibition with the university.
講同埋每一次我都會講嘅，雖然細少少一個圖，你會見到用英文嘅。
And this is what I would like to emphasize a little bit.
咁點解呢一篇文章會變咗英文咧？因為就係咧，我喺泰國認識。
You could see that the content have been changed into English because at that period of time, I've been working with the Thai team, and they have been sharing their experience of pre-nicking. While the editor actually would like to introduce something about Asia, so he asked me about the printmaking of Hong Kong. While I'm proposing the print art in Hong Kong, I would like to let them to know more about what Hong Kong artists are working on and how they work on it. So at the end, the Thai editor has actually selected this masterpiece to present to the public.
或者佢哋用心用力用自己時間去做咗一啲好有趣或者有意義嘅作品咧，推介去香港以外地球。
So you could see that many of the artists would like to create and present their artwork outside Hong Kong. And you could see this piece of art actually is talking about the females and the latex. Of course, one-man teams could never have the same achievement to a full team. That's why I participate into an international team. That we have co-organizing a dynamic virtual reality tour. And here let's shift to art critic and curator. What does it mean? It do means that we have to connect the experts from different fields to create things together and break down the boundary of community. And you could see that the exhibition here showing on the slides. We have been sharing our thought within the arts piece, saying the differences between poems and articles. We have invited poets to participate into the event as well. Actually, there is a story behind. We have inviting someone who is an expert in poems or calligraphy. But when I do call them, they're so surprised and say that I do have no experience about calligraphy, but only poem. And this is what makes the events more interesting, that you are gathering the professions in different fields together to creating things together. So for this event, actually, the meaning behind is to encouraging different artists to show their professions to the public.
我諗大家都會見到一樣嘢，就係策劃嘅工作其實可以好豐富，好多想像。
And this is what a curator should be, connecting different experts from different fields. And here comes to another piece. You can see that there is someone is sweeping the floor. Actually, at that period of time, besides what we have been working for, we are trying to exploring something new. And the person or the situation in this art piece, actually, he is my son. And this is the photo we took during the travel in Chiang Mai. I still remember at that period of time, he was 15. And the purpose that I would like to present actually is how to help a youngster to achieve his personal growth. While, yeah, you know, growth is another creation. We want to emphasize the simplicity, the lifestyle of the place while comparing it with our urban growth citizens. We asked my son to have his own independency and his potential to get back to the nature life. This is what I would like to emphasize. Sometimes the ideas of an artist about community creations doesn't come from scratch, but actually from life. We put our life into ideas and then to creations before we present to the public. And here is another sculpture artwork from me. I had sculptured all my thought and experience onto the wood. At that period of time, we are learning the concept of sustainability living. What we have done is putting ourselves into the nature and trying to develop our mind. I told my son, this is actually the area of your mind. Whenever you get lost, please put yourself back to your inner self and get back your truer one. At that time, we also invite our friends who have less experience in art, but it doesn't really matter. As long as we do share common ideas. We participating into the event together, and actually everyone, we do have our inner self, right? We have planted the seed, making farmwards planning plans together, all are related to natures. So everyone have put the nature element to their life, and then you transform the naturality to your artwork, which is emphasizing the sustainability of life. Yeah, and you could see that the area here is not that wide or say a little bit narrow, but you could see that we and our friends making mud brick. Actually, there is mud brick we have been built, and we have paid our effort into the event to seek the true meaning of sustainability of life. Even though we could not truly make useful of what we have built, but it doesn't really matter. What we are emphasizing is our contribution and effort. We do enjoy the moment and the time. As you know, at that time, the temperature in Chiang Mai is pretty high. We do enjoy traveling the environment there, seeking what nature is offering to us. And this is a very good time to open to your true potential in life. One of my friends even mentioned to me that this is one of the very memorable moments in his life. While talking about building a mud house, back to the time in 2019, I've sent an email to a friend while talking about the ideas that personal growth. I asked him to share his work as a reference for me and my student for making practice. I take a team of 15 people and try to remake a similar artwork of my friends. And this is the final work. You could see that its height is actually more than 50 inches. While we are not using advanced tools, just a simple knife with no experience. We don't even have a professional infrastructure, architect, or any professions. What we only have is a pure mind, a heart for contribution. Sometimes unknown is the most interesting thing for you to achieve your goal. Keep yourself as simple as you could. Try to have a mindful piece when you're creating your artwork. As long as you could enjoy the process, your experience would make you charge. I still remember at that time we plant, we build, and we seek. It is pretty romantic, right? Later on, it grows into colorful blooms. But later on, comes to the time of COVID, and we have no chance to go back to the original place where we plant our plant. And for our local friends, actually, he is not the perfections of planning. He won't do extra work of watering the plants, observing the plants, but fortunately, he have a chance to witness the nature growth of the plants. As long as all we know, plants will grow itself while living birth and death. They do have a collaborations between each other. So what actually we would like to emphasize is that nature repeats itself. The plants grows, death, back to the nature, and repeat. You can never how romantic it would be. What we are emphasizing actually is nature to nature. Although it may not be that realistic, the urban are talking about, but this is what we are also looking for. So you should know what is bamboo, right? And actually, we have put it into our artwork as well. You could see that the bamboo on the slide actually, they are in different shape, right? They are thin one or thick one. And this is what we have been found in Thailand. Although this is one kind of bamboo tree, which is pretty environmental friendly materials and can be reused for different things. Of course, a very organic views as well. You can see that there is a homemade gazebo in the slide, which the locals consider is a low cost but high-tech liquid tooth, which we have used that to make our bamboo creations. We burn the bamboo and they release the biochar, and it pushes the process that creating environmental friendly carbon. And you could see that there is an inky creation. that is created by bamboo charcoal, and which is obtaining the sustainability idea inside. As long as this is what we have been seeking, we are trying to put this idea into our creation as well. And you could see that this is what we have been creating with bamboo. We have involved students and teachers of school, giving them, every one of them, one bamboo, and invite them to make bamboo sculpture on it, asking them to put their favorite books, quotes, or ideas that impressed them a lot. After that, I've asked them to put this bamboo wood onto the wall, to sharing their thought to others, and that has become a common memory among them. So we could see that raw materials actually is one of the factors when we are talking about sustainability, right? Yes, true. Of course, sustainability is one of the important key, but how we make them or achieve it is more important. And I do remember that last year, 2020, we have been participated into this event with a library, public library. We have invited the public to create this with the bamboo materials. This art piece is titled as Sitting of Pleasantness. There is among 200 publics participated into this exhibition, which we won't classify them by ages, by occupations, or gender. We want to spread out the positivity to the public and to gain the support from others. And you could see that the features on slide actually is made from the bamboos. We have gathered their sculptures together, put it into one artwork and place on the public. So all the youngsters or the public themselves could make investigations on the community to get back their own sculpture, which is pretty interesting that can push the interactions of public at advance. What we are emphasizing here is not the interactions of people, but the positivity. What you need to do is only drive one of them and ask them be the leader of the others. Some of them are from not only the locals, but also from UK or even Macau. Working like the spider web, connecting one by one from people to others, connecting all the community together. There are elderlies, youngsters, and here is one who's come from UK, invited by my son. It is not a very complicated task. Even the little girl in the slide could do that with the tool for sculptures. And you can see that the little boy in the slide and his own masterpiece. So we could see that the public interaction is pretty high in this project. Of course, the idea usually comes from the project leader, but what makes the whole project comprehensive achieved really depends on the independence, which is the public and also the whole community. Within these creations, we have gathered people with different backgrounds together. Not only the elderly, they can be youngsters, professors, and all of them are actually equal. So we could see that equality always exists between people, right? What we have to do is to make it truly existing. Which is similar to inheritance. Not only the mother-child relationship, teacher-student relationship, but an inheritance among the whole community. And among the project, it emphasized our perseverance as well. Another project we have been working, actually, you could see on slide. You could see it is made by bamboo, and we have been entitled that as Collective Intimate Stories of Harvard. The plants we have been using actually is 竹手香, which has the imagery behind is to spread the fragrance within your hands to others, to spread the positivities, powers, and energy, and to encourage others' personal growth. We do make an experiment. We have invited another artist blessing the water materials every day, while at the same time speaking rude word or blaming the water materials. What interesting is that the water materials with blessing finally comes to beautiful crystal, while the other water materials with rude word or blaming, the final words made by it wasn't pretty as the blessed one. It is really interesting. Anyone would like to know more could find the information on the library or Google a bit. So let's come back to our project, 竹手香. What we are trying to spreading the fragrance to the public. We have been placing the plant into
佢嘅咧就高達咧呢個40 cm 嘅，同埋好翠綠嘅。咁當然好多謝咧。
The school or the mall for 6 months. And looking for the attentions and the awareness of the public, what we have observed that people is pretty interested about the plants. And what makes it interesting is that the plant is growing more and more beautiful after the time passed by. So that makes us to have a reflection that is that the positivity and the energy makes the plants grow. Actually, after that, we have moved the plants to another plate. But we want to mention that actually we do have, every one of us do have a plant with fragrance in our heart. Of course, back to our artwork, we have asked the public to vote for the plants. If they are interested to get them back to home, they could put their reasons on the paper next to the plant. Of course, they not only the positive comment, but also the negative comments as well. It is pretty cool to have both positive or negative comment together, but it do make us have a reflection and pay attention during the process. As long as people make a sculpture on the wood or the bamboo, they are actually putting the ideas or the message into their mind. You could see that there are different persons participating, or families and groups participating into this event. And they are really surprised and enjoy during the process. For this event, we do appreciate the contribution of the principal, because the experience not only come from discussion, but also about the contribution. How much did you contribute? How much you could gain from what you have been working for? Later on, we have put the message on the wall, which have presenting all the memories of more than 100 people. Let me share more a bit about the voting stories for the plants. So for this one, we have discovered that the girl has captured a beautiful heart on the bamboo and planting the plants with her kindness. Later on, we have discovered that actually the girls also have a similar meaning with her name. I would love to take this artwork and make my comments, but was rejected by the girl because she would love to spread her message and blessing to her beloved one. So later on, I do send a message to this little girl saying that there is no differences between giving and receiving. We do love to sharing the love and caring kindness between each other. After seeing my message, the little girl immediately gave her plant to me. Actually, I asked for these photos from this little girl 2 months ago before the exhibition. And that has been proved that blessing actually could really spread the positivity to even a plant. And comes to another one. The little girls had left a message that I would love to leave my blessing with my 竹手香 to the others, as long as with my fragrance. So one have left the comments that he would love to have this plant to his studio while spreading the blessing to the others. But of course, at the end, there is another winner who mentioned that he would love to spread the blessing to another elderly who he has been respecting for a long time, and would love to leave this blessing for another generation as well. For these little pieces, actually it's come from a little boy. While making the artwork, actually I could understand we have a similar feeling. The little boy has mentioned that he is a little bit worried about there is no one appreciate his artwork. And that actually is what general artists may worry about. That's why I leave my comments to him, saying that appreciation doesn't come from one, but from what you have been contributing to the artwork, as long as it had emphasized your peaceful mind, it's worth to have an appreciation. So personal growth, you could see that actually is what we have been looking for and what I have been working on it. What do you think about nutrition? Not the nutrition that everyone is trying to absorb every day, but what the nutrition for me is actually is a kind of competition, a sharing between each other. While everyone or every of us is encouraging ourselves to open our mind, to share our thought, it is what the nutrition I'm talking about. Of course, honesty can always encourage the others. And this is what we can make reflection on. So when this piece of art, the 竹手香, comes to my place, it always reminds me to make reflection that what nutrition is. So come to the next stage, it also encouraged me to make reflection on what I could do with my professions to the intellectuals. So later on, I asked for professionals' support to help me to extend my professions. for what I did actually is pretty different from the 竹手香 project. I asked for assistance from my friends, creating wishing artwork by bamboo sculpture, spreading the message like what you can achieve within a year. Of course, for the participants, they is pretty different. Of course, it is not difficult for using the tool, but for the participant, there are disabilities. That makes me have a reflection that what should I do more to let them understand more? Or do they really understand what I am presenting? But of course, artwork is a common language between different communities, right? So you could see that from this masterpiece, it is very colorful, which is representing the energy of their life. Of course, they do have their considerations, but it doesn't really matter as long as you have participated into the events. You have already put yourself into the masterpiece. Actually, you could see that there are thin and thick strokes onto the wood, right? And you could never know that this masterpiece actually is made by a visual disabilities. We first draw several lines, thin lines or thick lines onto the wood and help her to use the tool to make her own sculptures. It is pretty surprised, right, by visual abilities. But we have to make sure that we do offer several support to them to create these kind of pieces. My participants has also mentioned to me that this is not her first time to participate in my class. What he's looking for is actually transforming her ideas into artwork. More than that, into anime, to presenting her message to the world. So I asked her whether she know how to use the animation technique. What made me surprised, actually, she's pretty confident about using the technique with the modern technology. That's why she put her ideas onto the wood, presenting her idea to make her artwork from just a piece of artwork to an animation. And this is what an art concept exists. There is power, there is energy inside, but more important is that is the common language people could share among a whole community. Actually, I was pretty looking forward to this kind of project because sometimes unknown is the key factors that make things interesting, right? when every time you could expect, there is no surprise. And people may get used to how to get ideas. That's why sometimes unknown or unexpected situation is what I am looking for. Every time when I finish a project, it shouldn't be an end of a story, but it should be an inheritance. I expect someone to share my story, spread out the message. But of course, for students, the first thing you should do is to make your knowledge and also ability base solid. But you shouldn't limit by the frame. Working in the art field is not easy. You will receive comments from others. So bear in mind that be kindness, open your mind, let your imagination float in the air with flexibilities, and of course, proactive. I understand that not only students, but the general artists would like to seek for an agreement by the others. But remember to push yourself, stay straight while facing the negative comments, and consider that as one of the encouragement to push your personal growth. Sometimes negative pressure could be a kind of motivation for you to have improvement in the art field. Even though I could understand that the negative comment is pretty bad and may affect your mind. But once you have stepped forward and accept your negative, you could explore a whole new world in your field. So it comes to the end of our presentation and sharing. Thank you very much for your participation as well. So may I know any questions that you would like to have to the speaker? Anyone? Please let me know your voice. Have you ever imagined this kind of presentation could be related to the community art, community relations? And actually, art is very universal. And the questions that most people would like to ask is how to earn living by making artwork. Of course, this is not an easy task, but what we have been doing has encouraged us and reminding us that there are different approaches into the world. Treasure your gift, talent, and you could understand that all roads lead to Rome. Thank you very much for all your participation.
非常之感動即係我諗呢個今日嘅分享咧，其實
I'm impressed at sharing. This is what we are looking for, and the sharing that I think could benefit us with the power and your art professions. I hope that everyone here today could have the same feeling and gained something, especially the positivity from them.
係啦，同埋嗰個嘅感染力啊，我諗係喺今日嗰個演講裏面咧，我感受到好深厚。
Especially is the contagious from the speakers. Anyone, any students would like to ask them some questions, feedbacks, or comments?
問題咧，網上嘅參與者嚇，有冇乜嘢嘅？
Or anyone on Zoom?
有冇
Anyone?
？Antonia 一定有嘅。
Oh, maybe Antonia. I think you should have some questions, right?
校園正正就係我哋喺恒大嚇好積極嘅一個。
You can know that campus bamboos is actually one of the elements that we are looking for, right? I do have one question. Could you share your thought or ideas of your next project? See if it can encourage our student to make a little bit contribution. Is that okay to share something with us? If not, it's okay. Or maybe next time. And I hope that everyone could gain something from their sharing today. Thank you very much.
我哋有少少禮物係送俾你，呢個係藝